Hey guys, so I'm going to be talking about this illustration that I started over a year ago but decided to finish this month after seeing it in my bad art sketchbook video. So without going into too much detail, this is meant for a dummy book, and what's going on in this scene specifically is the dragon is supposed to be breathing fireworks. So I don't have the beginning sketch phase, and I think I actually didn't have one. I just wanted to start off with the fire, and I actually think that is a mistake and is something I'm going to be working on a lot this year, is pre-planning before I start painting. And the reason why I've made a bad habit of just skipping over it as quickly as I can is because it's just not as fun to have to think through a lot of the concepts for a long time, especially because I'm just doing this after work and I want it to be fun, and coloring is the more fun part for me. But anyway, the reason why it's important not to skip this is going to be shown here. For example, I wanted this to be a full spread, so basically if you were looking at this in a picture book, you would open up the book completely and it would take up both the pages. So if you imagine that the spine of the book is down the middle, if you were looking at the right page, it would just be this giant blob of color that's not telling you anything and is just not very visually interesting. So if I was a kid, I'd be like, all right, that's nice, I'm going to turn the page without giving it much thought, and that is not what I'm going for. So the way I'm going to fix this further in the time lapse is making it more dynamic, which basically just making it a way more interesting shape and not just adding random things in the inside of it. I don't know why I was really adding these white lines. I think I just wanted patterns and texture, but it's not thought through. It's not giving off the fact that it's supposed to look like it's fireworks. I've got fireworks going on around the outside, so it's almost like, is she just breathing weird fire while fireworks happen to be going off? It doesn't make sense. So that's why planning is important, but we're gonna fix it. And then as far as what's going well, I think the colors are really pretty, and that's usually my strong suit, is coming up with nice color palettes, but I really am going to be focusing on bringing up my fine art and technical skills this year, so it's good to point out. As far as brushes, I really wanted this one to be textural and look like a painting, so I'm going to be using a lot of pencil brushes, the retro gouache brush I use in every video and every illustration, and then more of the like scrubby gouache brushes. And you'll notice the character that's on the dragon's back, I end up removing him just because, like I said, I did not do a good job of planning things out last year, so he's kind of just a random, not unique character, and his outfit is not interesting, and he's so far away you can't add detail, so I end up taking him off. If I decide to finish this dummy book, I will have to add him back in, but he will be much more thought out. And as you can see, I changed the shape, and it's going to continue to change from here, but it's already so much more interesting to look at, but it's still running into the issue that if this was just an isolated page on the right, if you cut the painting in half, it's not interesting enough to deserve a whole page. So I think this is about the point where I restarted the drawing this year. I do love the star speckles, but again, it's giving cake and icing vibes, not fireworks. So I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna paint over this entire right side with the gouache retro brush. Yep. And we're gonna figure out some better shapes. So I was basically thinking of those fireworks that you see a lot of viral videos about, where teenagers are just like shooting them at each other and accidentally hitting houses and all of that. I was thinking about those for the shape, and then also thinking about the noise of a firework before it goes off. It's like that windy whistling sound, and thinking about that helped me come up with shapes that made a lot more sense. And this is going back to actually thinking through my designs and why I'm drawing something before just starting to paint. Just makes things more unique to me and more unique for the viewer to look at, seeing what is most important to me about the concept of fireworks. So as far as the shapes, I really like vintage star shapes where they have more than 5 points. So I was wanting to stick with that for the actual explosions, and then you can see I'm trying to get that windy shape with what's actually coming out of the dragon. And I think I did a decent job, but I do struggle getting elegant flowy shapes. So I can get the flow, but sometimes I feel like it looks really clunky. And I think it's just going to be a practice thing, but an artist that does a really good job of this, that's very famous, is Loish. If you look at her character anatomy, even her trees and environments, everything's very flowy and windy most of the time, and it looks so like your eye just follows it really easily. So she actually has a Patreon, so I might go and subscribe to it just to see if she talks about that, but that would be the goal, is if I can get my stuff as flowy as her. And I don't really love the colors I chose for the rockets coming out right now, but I'm going to go in with overlay modes in a bit, which is where you have a new layer that you're coloring on and you can change it from normal to something like overlay or screen or color dodge. And that's something I talk about in my how I use Procreate video, but basically I use that a lot to adjust colors without changing the stuff that I've already drawn, so it's procedural and I'm not messing anything up if I change my mind, basically. And I really like the textures I stuck with on this drawing, so I used a lot of pencils and pastel brushes as well, just to get that grainy traditional look. As you can see, the overlay modes made a huge difference to this, and I really like the effect that they gave. And then from here, I just touch up the clouds as well as the dragon. I felt like the dragon looked a little bit too digital and smooth compared to everything else, but because she's so small, it was hard to kind of pack in that texture while also making her interesting. So I think I did a decent job on her. She's so far away that I always get caught up in, ooh, I shouldn't be adding too much to her, because if this was an actual painting, I wouldn't be able to zoom in. But anyway, I think she's cute. And yeah, here I'm just adding more rim lights and colors reflecting from the rocket onto the clouds just to make it more interesting, because it does not need to be a gray blob in the corner. So here's the finished illustration. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it is a really good example of my style with vibrant colors and trying to get that traditional look. So I'm pretty happy with it. And I think this makes for a much better picture book spread, because you can put some text on the cloud and some text in the bottom right corner after the fireworks, and it will make the viewer pause a little bit to look at everything. Alright, if you made it this far, please like and subscribe, because it helps my channel so much. And please let me know in the comments what you want to see next or what you thought, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!